Here we're going to tie a Biot body parachute. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start our thread and lay down a quick base. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in our tails. For this, we're just going to use a little bit of hackle fibers. And we want those to be roughly the length of the shank of the hook. And we tie those in right on top. And we take our thread forward just with the butt ends of those hackle fibers. We do that just to keep a nice smooth body. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to tie in our biots. For this, we're just going to use a brown biot. We tie just the tip of them in. Take our thread forward to about a third of the way away from the eye. Now we're going to take this biot and we are going to wrap this around the hook as we take it forward. I try to overlap just a little bit. On my Dryflies, I like to have the ridges hiding. I don't like them necessarily showing. So I try to wrap over those little ridges. Tie off that biot. You can trim out the extra. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in the post for the parachute. Here I'm just using some Antron yarn. We secure that. Once we've secured the yarn to the hook, we're just going to go around horizontally around that piece of Antron. This will give us a base to wrap our hackle onto. Just like so. Pull this down here for you a little bit. You can see a little better. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in our hackle. And real quickly just measure this. We want it to stick out almost back to the tail. See how it's just covering the body there. Now we're going to wrap that piece of hackle in. I actually take that hackle and I'm going to wrap up the parachute post with the hackle stem. And I can trim out the extra piece of that stem. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to dub the thorax portion of the body. Put on a thin layer of dubbing there. We're just going to dub the front half of this thorax. Gotta be careful not to overdo it too much here. just like so. Now for the little trick, we take our thread and we hang it just on the other side of the post. We invert our fly. Now we can take that hackle and just wrap from top to bottom down to the body of our parachute. Once we've laid down a few wraps, you can take your thread, you just wrap it around the base of this parachute. Then you can whip finish. All the way around the bottom of all those hackle fibers. You could trim out the thread. And I like to re-invert the fly to do the rest. And then you can simply just trim out the stem of your hackle. Sometimes you'll trap a few extra fibers, so I just trim those out. Just like so. And you could trim the post. I usually trim the post about the length of the shank of the hook or so. And that's all there is to a Biot body parachute.